Hello, everyone. I am live, apparently, which means hopefully there's already 11 people waiting, which is great. You should be able to hear me, so do let me know. I'm coming through loud and clear, of course. And I'd like to welcome all the people who have joined this live stream tonight. I hope you'll post in the chat box. There's a live chat at the side of the video, and all you need is a YouTube account. You can do it. And DJ Bijou says we hear you, Ben. That's really great, DJ. Thanks. DJ's here, DJ Bijou, Bardi's Den, Andrew Munchkin, Woody Black. Yeah, you guys so far. So DJ B2 says, seems like the poop has hit the rotating air conditioning device. Yes. I'll be saying, I'll just wait for the numbers to build, because I've just posted. What I did was I actually shared the video before I actually went to air. So I actually went to social media on a different browser, and I shared it there. But good evening, Dr. Jackie F. Johnson, Ian Batchelor. Welcome, all of you. Let me just see if I alter this a little bit. Hang on. Can I just alter that? No, it's fine. Okay. I've a few differences. Just first of all, it looks like there's light coming out of my crown chakra. It's actually the light in the room. Slightly different angle, you may have noticed. That's because I've got a new chair. Well, it's not new. It's actually an old one. But my chair I had gave up the ghost. It broke. I mean, literally only after like 6 months. I think it's under guarantee, so I get the money back on it. But I thought, I mean, even my less than delicate frame should have been okay for it, you know. But anyway, all of you. So we've got 24 people watching so far. Give it another couple of minutes. I hope you're all right. Hugo Rune, hello. Luke Griffin. Fab and Moon as well is there. Hello and welcome. I've not seen you before, I don't think. Hi Tina, how are you? Hope you're well too. And I know Treehouse. Yes, I know who you are. Right. Thanks for joining us, Rob. Thanks very much. Stephen Truthseeker. Hello, how are you, Stephen? And Sorenable. Hello. Thanks for joining. I'm glad to see you guys again. Stephen and Sorenable I've not seen for a while, I don't think. So I'm glad you got back on here. Did I mention Luke Griffin? I think I did. Legend Real, greetings. And we also have Spotted UFOs, Ghosts and Cryptids. Hi, how are you? And Lofty, last of the famous international playboys. I must listen to that song, that Morrissey song. Again, it's a great song. Michael Snow, yo. So how are you all? Are you all well? Considering the bad news. Oh, Tina, right? Okay, I'll come to your comment in a minute, Tina. Thanks. But so I'm a different angle. I got this. I mean, I don't know what to do about that light, whether it's actually bad or good. But this chair is like an old wooden chair, so it doesn't adjust in terms of its height. Anyway, Dr. Jackie F. Johnson, haven't you heard? The world's about to end. Yes, and unlike Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's not funny. Well, it is, yeah. Apparently the world is, yeah. Proselytizing Orthodox Pentecostal trans rabbit is there. Yes. So I think there's enough people now. I've got 35 people watching. Yes, I'm terribly sorry to break the news to you, but this is going to be the last ever Hapanwo TV video, because the world is ending tomorrow. Yes, it's... what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to... It is actually July the 20th. All right, as I said, I'll just read you some... Here we go. I've got some... This won't be a long lead off. I've got some news here anyway about it. Let's have a just quick... Bear with me a moment. Right, yeah. This... what it is... This has been all over the media, and it's basically means that there was a miscalculation with the end date, because if you remember, I mean, this takes you back to December the 21st, 2012, and I posted a background link in the description box, so you can just watch that, because I did a video at the time all those years ago. It's of course ages ago now, isn't it? 8 years, blimey, almost 8 years. So you can actually go into some background if you're not familiar with this. But basically, the Mayan civilization, which was a culture which flourished in Central America, in around, I think it was in the first millennium. I think it's sort of like, I think it died out around about the year 900. So when Europe was going through its Middle Ages, Central America actually had a thriving culture, very, very sophisticated culture. And they were very, very sophisticated. They had science, they had philosophy, they had law, and they built amazing monuments, which still survive because they're stone structures on the same scale of complexity and grandeur as the Great Pyramids of Egypt. But they kept time using a complex calendrical system. They had 3 separate calendars. There was the Hab, which was 365 days of the solar year for practical purposes. They had the Tzolkin, which is a holy calendar, and the long count. Now, the long count is oh, where is it? Hang on. Let me just hang on. Where was the bloody thing? All right, here we go. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I should have got my notes together. Oh, one moment, ladies and gents. Sorry to always keep you waiting. Just thought of this, shouldn't I? Yeah, the Mayans had a long count. This was a calendar which was based around a very, very long period of time, hence its name. It's a huge. What was it now? Yes, in terms of our calendar, it was the equivalent of how many? One moment. You find there's 5,126 years. It's based on a time period of 5,126 years, and this period, the previous period was called the fifth sun, and that was a period that basically encompassed all of human history, including the Mayan civilization itself. But it was a period of 5,126 years, beginning on August the 11th, 3114 BC, and ending on the 21st of December 2012 AD. So it's massive length of time. Change. It happened to happen on that date according to our calendar, and so we got to be there when it happened, which is quite amazing. So even though the Mayan culture doesn't exist anymore, the calendar has survived, and people were very interested in it. A guy called Jose Arguelles talked about this. So there was a book called The Mayan Factor, I remember. But what happened was this then right. I remember. Do you remember it? I think some of you were there. Some of you were actually watching my channel at the time, and we were all the alternative sphere was going nuts about it. David Icke. It was all over the David Icke forum. There were special 2012 forums and 2012.com, and there were books galore. There was like the Jeff Stray's book, I think, is the best one on that respect. But when it came, nothing particularly amazing happened that day. I remember, and there was a kind of like, oh dear, because there's all kinds of theories about what was going to happen. There was even this amazing documentary. Let me just show you this. I think you're familiar with this because I have discussed it before. But there's a documentary, the 2012 Odyssey. That's very good, actually. That's a reality entertainment video. Not, I think, no, it's not. Sorry, it's somebody else. But that is worth watching as well as reading Jeff Stray's book. Those things are worth watching. That's worth watching as well. The thing about it is, then suddenly, when nothing happened, everyone went, oh, because everyone thought we were going to be destroyed, the world was going to end, or there was going to be some massive spiritual awakening, and we'd all wake up the next day as like high priests of Atlantis or something. Now, some of us, including myself, basically didn't think either of those things would happen. And indeed, we were right. Neither of those things did happen. In fact, for all intents and purposes, on the 22nd of December 2012, 12 was pretty much like the 21st. It was everything just carried on as normal. Now, I do believe something did happen on that date, but I'll come to that in a minute. The point is, a tweet appeared a couple of days ago by someone on Twitter called Paolo Tagalogwin, if I pronounce that correctly. Tagalogwin. And he or she, I think it's a he, Paolo, yeah, said something really amazing. They tweeted that we got the date wrong. The date actually is wrong. Now, what happened was, like, they said there was some confusion over the different calendars we use, because the calendar that most of the world uses, in fact, the entire world uses, is for practical purposes, everyone in the world uses, is called the Gregorian calendar. Now, this was introduced in 1582, a long time ago. But before that, we used something called the Julian calendar. And I don't know, is Cosmic Claire in chat? She knows all about this. There's still countries like Ethiopia that use the Julian calendar, or a version of it. They use a kind of version of the Julian calendar. Where is it? But generally speaking, the world switched over. Now, the Julian calendar is older, and it's a slightly different system. But what Mr. or Mrs. Tagalogwin is claiming is that if we carried on using the Julian calendar, then the 21st of December 2012 actually would be in a different place. It would actually be tomorrow. So according to the Julian calendar, tomorrow is the 21st of December 2012. Wow. Now, it's all a bit complicated. For example, how did December end up in the middle of summer? We're supposed to have leap years to prevent that from happening, because the solar year is actually 365.25 days. So it's an extra quarter day. So every 4 years we have a leap year to allow the calendar to catch up, because otherwise, after a couple of centuries, you would end up with December in the middle of summer, because it would go out of synchronicity with the solar year. Now, so apparently we've got the date wrong for Armageddon, and it's actually tomorrow, Sunday, the 21st of June 2020 is the end times. Spoiler alert, it's not true. All right, I was going to save this groundbreaking revelation for the end of the video, or the end of this lead off, but I'll tell you now, it's not true. There's a lot of fuss have been made about this in the media, but this is a complete misunderstanding and misrepresentation of the whole issue, because the long count, when the Mayan long count changed over, has got nothing to do with any calendar we're using. It's to do with the Mayan calendar itself. The Mayan calendar itself is what decides when the long count changes over. The Mayan calendar was created long before the Gregorian, or indeed the Julian calendar, ever was in use. So, why? So the question is, it doesn't really make any difference. And we could use a different calendar, and it wouldn't change when the long count was being changed over. For example, according to the Jewish calendar, the year is currently 5780, and in the Muslim calendar, it's actually only the 15th century. It's 1411 this year in the Muslim calendar. The Jewish calendar is way ahead. We're in the 5th millennium AD, according to the Jewish calendar. That's quite something. The 5th millennium, yeah, or not AD, but just I think it's 55,780 years since Moses crossed the desert or something, or came down from the mountain. With the Muslim calendar, I think it's the ascent of Muhammad or something like that. So the world probably will not end tomorrow. It might. It's always a possibility. You can't rule it out. But if it ends tomorrow, it'll end for a completely different reason. It'll end for a totally different reason. And if it's no more likely, if it is another reason, it's no more likely to happen tomorrow as any other time. So honestly, don't max out your credit cards, guys. Don't sleep. Please sleep tightly tonight, as I say on Crime Watch. And in fact, in the comments, I'll read the comments now on the show notice. Steve071 says, well, if the world is ending tomorrow, I guess this comment will be irrelevant. Mel O'Brien says, I'd rather die than contract that dreaded COVID-19 or Conjob 18 or Conusal 3, whatever it is. I'm so happy the world, it's all ending tomorrow. We can move up a day. I can't wait. This explains why the imaginary Jesus appeared in my dream last night, all done up in high heels, a dress and a beard. He couldn't stop laughing at me, so I hit him. He loved it. Oh, my good. I think you must have watched a recording of the Eurovision Song Contest before you went to bed, Mel. Diego Rivera says, I will be there, and he may well be. I'll check in a minute. And Mel says, moi aussi. Me too. A Rabbit says, hilarious. Steve071, yeah, perhaps Ben should have scheduled the live stream earlier. Oh, I don't know. I think it's nice to have this countdown. And on the BitChute notice, Scum versus Scum says, that's a good name. May I suggest that you show your video today, not on the day that the world is going to end? Thanks. And indeed, of course, I am showing it the day before. So there you have it, ladies and gents. Buckle up, and the end is nigh. Well, not nigh, as it appears to be. So have I got in the chat? There's just quite a short lead off that time. We have, and like I said, Andrew Munchkin, Woody Black. How you doing? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, as if this year couldn't get any worse. I mean, it's not been the best one so far. We're halfway through it. I mean, maybe I was going to say, I did actually say, you know, if the world actually does end, well, top that. You know, I mean, if it's got to end one year, this is probably the best one it does. So, hello, Andrew Waslin. Hello. Ben, you're okay, but not the end of the world. UK snowflake gone mad. Steve071, how do you do? Jackie asked me how I'm finding the lockdown. Well, I'm working, Jackie, just for 3 hours a day. It's better than nothing. Sort of getting through it, you know. I'll have to do another live stream about that sometime. That's Jackie, Dr. Jackie says she's messaged me. All right, you. Oh no, and I've not texted back. Where have you messaged me, Jackie? Do I know you on Facebook? That's probably the best way to get hold of me, Jackie. Michael Snow's there. Tina Silver says the handprint is still there. Okay, Tina, this is something Tina and I were talking about privately. Thanks for letting me know, Tina. I'll contact you on Facebook. Stephen, yeah. Steve says we've made it so far. Steve071. Stephen Truthseeker, no, not following the football anymore. I'll call yourself a Scouser. Tina says July the 20th, not June. Oh no, Tina. So now we got another date coming up. Oh blimey. Thing is, there's always dates when the world is going to end. I remember there was a famous cult, I think based in America, led by a rather eccentric lady. I can't remember the name of it or the details, but she said the world was going to end on a certain date in 1922, and all her followers sort of like gathered around on a hilltop that day waiting for the sort of rapture moment when they'd be taken up to heaven and everyone else would die in the floods and fire and brimstone. And nothing happened. So you'd think that would be the end of the cult, but it wasn't. She just went back to her desk and she suddenly said, oh, I made a mistake. I forgot to carry the 2 or something. And so she moved it forward a few years and the cult continued. Andrew says no UFOs over Hull today. All right. And Alan Waslin. Hey, Alan, were you at the RawCon? Yeah. Michael Snow says, I wonder how it will end. Probably when the sun dies or something. That won't be for a long time. Rabbit says, is this one of David Icke's predictions? It's not. It's nothing to do with him. Hello, Splendid Isolation. Dawn, greetings. I mean the world ending, not it being your last video. All right. Well, you know, thank God for that. Well, you know, Dawn, it would be sometimes I think it would be a blessed release, wouldn't it? No. Seriously. It just crosses my mind occasionally. Those damn Mayans. Hello, Jock of Ages, how are you? DJ B2 talks about Derek Jackson's astronomer cult. I don't know about. I mean, I've watched our Stargazing Live when I can bear to put up with Professor Brian Cox. Well, you know what I think of him, don't you? Splendid says the world never ends. It's written in the Bible. The world as we know it drastically changes, and the return of the Creator who made the earth and the universe. Yeah, I mean, I believe that this is an important point. I'll just go through the comments and I'll bring up what I think this whole bit more about what this sort of thing is all about. I am going to go through the old comments because it was such a short lead off. We are 8 years out. Apparently, it's 2012 now. Yeah, that's it, Dawn. This is what was said, but it's loads of nonsense. DJ says my world ends when I poop liquid. Oh right, for me that's every Friday night. I'm just going to go through the comments quickly, just see what we've got here. Now, the idea of God returning to planet Earth, splendid. I'm gonna go into this. I will. Rabbit says, how many times has the Mayan calendar come to an end already? This would be at least the second time. Well, there was a bit of fuss over the date because Terence McKenna came out with this time wave zero thing, which he calculated came to maximum novelty in November 2012, so a month early. Someone else was saying, it's actually the 23rd of December, not the 21st. They've all those dates have gone past either. Where are we now? DJ Bucci, you read Barbara Hand Cloud's 2012 book. I didn't see that. I did a lot of videos at the time talking about Nancy Leader and these other people. So it was just called. I mean, Jeff Stray called his book Catastrophe or Ecstasy because there were two basic camps. There were the Ecstasy camp and the Catastrophe camp. Tina Silver says there's a comment at Karnak Temple that morning. Was there? All right. You know, I know you've been there, Tina, haven't you? You've seen it. You used to live in that part of the world, I think. I mean, you told me. It's interesting that there's all kinds of different predictions in the Mayan calendar about when this would end. I mean, this is the first time the Mayan calendar changeover falls on the winter solstice. That was very interesting. And it fell on the winter solstice, and that's literally not something that will not happen again for around about 5 million years. It's a very rare event indeed. Also, there's the actual moment, the solstice moment can be. You know that the actual solstice can be calculated to the nearest minute. It's rather like the turning of the tide in the sea. And it was the actual moment where the Earth turns around and goes back again. The actual turning moment where the tilt stops and goes back. It's slightly different every single year, every single solstice, and it actually happened at 11:11 a.m. GMT. 11 isn't 11:11 again. Ian R. Crane did a whole thing about 2012. That's very interesting. But what exactly is it? Let's go through these comments. Hi, Patrick. How are you? Patrick Patel is there. Thanks, Patrick. Thank you very much. G'day, Stiltskin. How are you? Steve071 says, I reckon the world could have ended years ago, and we're now in the aftermath. To explain quite a lot of the bees in this place. Well, you know, Steve, there's actually something to that, you know. There's actually something to that. Hi, Emma Lone. Not Charles. Oh, hello, not Charles. I don't have to turn my back and go, yeah, man, I mean, I've been there. Stillskin, apparently space rocks are coming. You know what, Stillskin? I cover this every week on my radio show, on my podcast, and I cover the space rocks. And you know what? There's been loads of headlines about asteroids, and there actually was one that was a bit worrying last week. It was within the orbit of the moon, pretty big and very fast, and it was all over. Yeah. Tina, the Masonic calendar. What's that? I never looked into that. They have something. They have their own calendar, don't they? Yeah. Gary Robinson, greetings. BitShoot is there. Hello, BitShoot. Evening, Ben. I hope we're all practicing social commenting, allowing 2 minutes gaps between comments and wearing masks while watching. Oh, I hope they don't. There's not like a kind of disease that you can get through the TV, through your monitor and things. Stephen says the situation is going to get dark. Yeah, but it's not. It won't. The situation at the moment is quite good. However bad it looks, it really is. David Schultz, hello. What about the lunar calendar? Yeah, Onslow, hello. Dr. Jackie F. Johnson. Let's hope it ends for everyone supporting Black Lives Matter. Oh, God, yeah. Well, I did two videos about all that, Jackie, and it's pretty depressing. I know. They certainly need to get their heads out of their asses. Like Christy Winters, I did a video about her. She's one of the worst. Legend Real. You're on about the damp patch, yeah. Well, it says Legend says it may be something spiritual. You know, sometimes wet patches appear as part of poltergeist activity, so you never know. Mindset Central. Hello. How are you? You just messaged me on Facebook. I'll check that out later, Gareth. Thanks. BitChute. Being alive to see the end of the world would be as fortunate as being there at its creation. Well, you know, it's when you think about how long the world lasts, it's probably whatever happens. I mean, someone's going to be around to see it properly, but sometimes things can happen that make it look like the world ends. Like, well, obviously a personal crisis, but also a major climactic shift or something like the end of the Ice Age. A lot of the legends we have of floods and things like that come because you find legends of floods and destruction, like Noah's Ark and things like that in Atlantis. You find them all over the world, and that's because they emerged in prehistoric times for the people who witnessed the end of the last Ice Age. Oh, Stephen says there's an eclipse of them, and a new moon tomorrow. Yeah. Steve says Brexit's on the back burner. Oh, Steve, I'll be covering that in probably a future video. I'm certainly going to write an article on that soon, but it's hopefully. I mean, if you watch Maya Tusi's channel, he's pretty confident that it's all going to be sorted, and there's not going to be a delay on the negotiations. We're going to complete the new relationship by the end of the year, as promised. Patrick Patel says, Ben, just out of curiosity, even though I know you love rugby, which football club do you follow? I actually don't have a team, so to speak, Patrick. I like football, but I'm not football mad, and I don't really have a team. Emma Lone, any thoughts on the Mandela effect? Oh, Emma, I'm a Looney Tunes guy. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, when I first found out about this, I was astonished because I was so sure it was Looney Tunes. Absolutely certain. There's actually a Mandela Effect movie that I'm going to review. It's like a feature film about it, which I'll be reviewing. It'll be a couple of weeks because I've got to do a comment reply video next, or very soon. David Schultz, but the whole thing is very interesting. This whole thing about the Mandela Effect coming out at a certain time, because the Nancy Leaders is Nancy Leader still around? Oh God. David Schultz says the end of the world as you know it is the day you check out, as they say. Well, when tomorrow or your next lifetime? Well, yeah, of course, when you die, that's the end of your experience of this particular world. Tina Silver said the I Ching said 2012. Tina, it's funny you brought that up because it was actually Terence McKenna whose work that came from. I've just been watching The Man in the High Castle, and there's a lot of the I Ching in that, and it's very interesting. It's a good series if you ever get the chance to watch it. I'll have to review it at some point. Stilton said Slaxer is not an anti-vaxxer. No, he never has been. Slaxer, I think, I can't remember when the swine flu thing came out, he was saying he's not against vaccination. I am watching his channel again, as I just said in a recent video. I'll have to check out his videos on that. Patrick says, I think the aliens are definitely already here. They do exist and are living amongst us on Earth, but in disguise. Yeah. I mean, did you see that article about some professor bigwig from the University of Nottingham saying there were 36 intelligent civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy, which is slightly less than Frank Drake, because if you remember my SETI and UFOs video, he said he estimated about 10,000. It's all a bit of a moot point, though, isn't it? It's a red herring because, like all of SETI is a red herring because, well, they're staring at the sky, waiting for signals from space. There could be a UFO hovering above the bloody observatory. The aliens aren't out there, as you say. They're here. They're down here with us on Earth, and what's more, they've been here for a long time. Probably as long as we have, actually. CMAL82517 says, "Hey Ben, have you noticed the face on your headboard?" Yes, it's smiling. It's sort of like got a half smile. And I think it watches over me while I'm asleep. Some people say it looks like Bungle from Rainbow. Patrick Patel said, "The Men in Black film was trying to tell us something. I feel any time now they will officially reveal themselves to us." I hope so, Patrick. I mean, that I can't say. I must say I did not enjoy that film. I didn't think it was very good. I only saw the first one. We're talking about the Men in Black movies with Will Smith. As these basically, it's very misleading. It actually says nothing about the real Men in Black, because the real Men in Black are different. Conspiracy Theory Watch says, "Oh, here we go." As soon as I saw this person, always likes to take the piss. "The internet isn't exactly short of half-wits predicting the end of the world. Hopefully you won't be talking about this for the whole stream, Ben, me old mate." Well, Conspiracy Theory Watch, this I will be, because that's what this stream is about. Although, as I said, related subjects too. But that is the theme of this live stream, unfortunately. So I will be focusing on that issue. Although, as I've just explained, I actually do not think the Earth is going to end tomorrow. I've explained. I think it's a load of hogwash. Stephen says there's a lot of half-wits that watch TV as well. Yeah. Not Charles says, "Oh, go on, Ben. I'm retired, so I'll put up to you to put the rear of Charles into people. Go for it." Oh my God! If I get a bit, all right, I'll do it. "I'm Charles, man. Yeah, I'm a super psychic gold gangster, man. I'm so superior to you, Bill Ryan. Look at me lording it over you. I can play golf and beat a pro, man. Yeah." There we are. I promise you, that's the last time I'm ever doing that. The last time ever. You just witnessed the last time I did my Charles impression. But Not Charles, I do remember. I do love your videos. Not Charles appears in one of my Truth Seekers Northeast videos, by the way. If you remember, I got that strange phone call. Do you remember? Steve071 says, "Ben, any more on Marge? Can we put that to bed now?" I think so, Steve. Yeah, I think the last live stream I did, the third one, there's a link in the description box to it. Really, I think it's a case closed situation in my view. I mean, I appreciate the work that's been done by various people, especially AJ Javard, and I think we can say goodbye. I mean, I've written an article on this for UFO Truth magazine. In a sense, the Mage craze, the reason it happened, I think, has a lot to do with the lockdown. It has an awful lot to do with that. DJ B2 says, "I could not watch your Christy Winters video, Ben. I really cannot stand that myopic so-called academic." I know. I'm not very fond of her as well. I'm sure if we met, we wouldn't get on. She's quite unpleasant. But as I said at the end, by the time I finished the video, I ended up just feeling sorry for her, really, because she's a product of this is the product of the education system. This is what they turn you into. She's Dr. Christy Winters. She's like a top PhD, and she teaches political science. I mean, and then of course that's the kind of people you get. The people who say these things. Michael Snow, what do you think about it ending by global warming? No, it won't, Michael, because the global warming thing is a hoax. It's designed to create the New World Order. I've done entire videos on that. Legend Real says, "I have things moving about, Ben, and I'm 100% sincere. Thanks for the info. That will help." That's great, Legend. I hope if any of you heard this story, you're not bothered by it, because it's a pretty it's a pretty silly story, actually. It was put into the. It just goes to show what the media are like. They just pick up anything, could run with it. As soon as I saw this, I thought, hang on a minute, because I've been looking into this. But it doesn't matter what calendar we use. This is all about the bloody. It's all about the Mayan calendar. But it was all over the damn papers. Just because they know people will look at it and they'll click and everything like that. So it's clickbait. They'll buy the paper and things like that because people love that sort of thing, you know. Annie 0100. Hello, Annie says, biblically, we are the last generation according to the parable of the fig tree. That's the parable of the fig tree? Is that the one where it's the one about the parrot, isn't it? And God makes the tree die he wants to test the parrot's loyalty. So he makes the tree die to see if the parrot will remain faithful to the fig tree, and he does. He sticks with the tree even because he's fond of this tree. Jock of Ages, Looney Tunes, do tell. Jock, Looney Tunes is the cartoon series, you know, the funny cartoon series that all the kids love. Roadrunner, Bugs Bunny, etc., etc. It's Looney Tunes. Now, I was absolutely convinced it was Looney Tunes, Toons. Now, that word tunes is obviously short for cartoons. It's also the way Americans pronounce the word tunes. So, but the weird thing is, I'm one of. You could say, well, I remembered it wrongly, and if it was just me, I'd say yeah. But there are so many people, millions of people, who remember it as Looney Tunes. And I remember having a conversation with my parents when I had a conversation with my parents when I must have been about 4 years old, saying, "What's tunes, Mum and Dad? What's tunes? What does that mean?" Because I was just starting to learn to read. I was an early starter with reading, and they just said, "Oh, it's the way the Americans talk." 69 Phuket says, "Swing low, sweet chariot." Sing that, Ben. Phuket, I'm not a jukebox. Besides which, I'm a Welsh boy. You know, and we don't sing that song when it comes to rugby. Emma Lone, Looney Tunes is what I thought it was. Yeah. Where are we? Yeah. Proselytizing rabbits has the Mandela effect, ultimate expression of narcissism. You're right, and the entire rest of the planet is wrong. No, Rabbit, that's not fair. It's not like conflation. I mean, because our memories have errors. You don't remember things perfectly. Just try watching a film you've not seen for 20 years. See how different it is to how you remember it. But the thing about the Mandela effect is that you get many, many people, sometimes millions across the planet, conflating the same thing, misremembering things in the same way. That's to me is beyond coincidence. Also, the thing about the Mandela effect, it was not reported until 2013. It was someone called Fiona Broome first brought it to people's attention. Now, what's weird is it got its name because Nelson Mandela died that year, and I don't believe that was the cause. But when he died, some people started commenting saying, "But I remember Mandela dying in 1986. He died in prison in 1986. I remember it so clearly." There were news headlines. There were interviews with people who knew him. There's a documentary on TV. But of course, he didn't. He died in 2013. But I do wonder whether there was some connection to the Large Hadron Collider, because that was when it first started its universe-busting collisions. Do you remember the video I made about that? Also, it's just after the 2012 calendar date, isn't it? So maybe there's some kind of crossover, interdimensional crossover. I mean, in fact, the Man in the High Castle series is about that too. It's very interesting. David Schultz says, "I saw the film The Mandela Effect the other day. It was very interesting. Gave it 3 stars." Oh, David, I'm going to have to review it. It's going to be upsetting because I know it's about a little kid dying, and that's going to upset me. But I'm going to watch it and review it for you guys at some point. Legend says the Men in Black song shows a D-Wave quantum computer. Oh, God blimey. I'm sure Kev Baker would love that. Oh, we know. It just flicked to the bottom. it's interesting, like the quantum computers, because they're being developed here in Oxford, and that's quite. If that comes out, that'd be quite something. Phuket says most folks in the UK die from Alzheimer's. I know it's very common, that one. Yeah. Who demands is not Charles. Prince Charles. No, Charles is nothing like Prince Charles. Prince Charles is not psychic, and he's not a super soldier, and he's not superior to everyone else. And he shows his face. Well, he doesn't always. Sometimes he gets an actor. Did you see that? Did you see that clone on the TV the other day? It looked nothing like him. It had a different voice, much different, very different face, much less wrinkly. Honestly, and he was a worse actor. He was a worse actor than Joe Cox's sister. Does Prince Charles sit facing the other way while playing golf? I don't know, Rabbit. Steve, I'm not Charles. No, I'm not Charles. Charles is someone else. Charles actually contacted me. He was really angry with me for taking a piss out of him, and he actually found me on Skype and had a go at me. He phoned up and had a go at me. Emma, the hyphen in Kit Kat. That's another one. Yeah. Yeah, Charles. It was not Charles's videos. I heard that your Charles. I heard that your not Charles. Your channel got shut down, and that was awful. I loved those videos you did. They were so funny. I shared them everywhere. That was really out of order. 69 Phuket says it's Paddington Bear on their headstead, not Bungle. Oh, right. Stillskin, do you miss the boozer yet? Yes, I do. Pubs are opening now, but you've got to like queue for them, and they make you sit on seats 6 feet from everyone else. You can't just stand at the bar and talk to people. Oh man, it's like only so many people allowed in the bogs at a time. It's not worth it. Woody Black says, yes, there was Tiny Toons. That was that was used as an explanation, the Tiny Toons thing, but it doesn't fit, Woody, because my memory of Looney Tunes is very clear, and I remember having this conversation when I was a little kid with my parents. All right, Splendid Isolation says the fig tree is where Jesus talks about the end of the age and he returns to judge the world. The fig tree is his parable. In his parable is Israel, and that you know when it's near via this. Oh, I'm interested in the end times sort of thing. I really am. I mean, I'm not conventionally religious, but I'm not an atheist. I wouldn't call myself an atheist. And the idea of some kind of massive universal transformation is completely plausible, I think. Al McCall, hello. Rabbit says, oh, where is... I mean, Ben literally just took off his hat, turned to face the other way, and spoke in his normal voice. I can't imagine who that was supposed to be, if not himself looking the other way. But just because I do look like Charles from behind, don't I? Yeah. But I'm not Charles, no. I just think Charles was... I just took the mickey out of Charles. And he didn't like it. He can't take a joke. DJ says, seems that Brazil has mass graves. Oh. Well, they're in internment camps, aren't they? In the States, they're FEMA camps, and they have 500,000 caskets. It's bloody horrible, isn't it? Redknapp Goblin, hello. You remember, you're a Looney Tunes guy too. Yeah, that's it. There's other famous ones like the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears. That's one. There's a list of Mandela effects of various kinds. There's the Monopoly man, the sort of the figure, the human figure on the Monopoly set. Does he have a monocle or not? Fiona Broom, it is, Charles. Yeah, or at least that's how I remember her. Maybe her name was different. You never know. DJ Buchu, The Man in the High Castle is a good book and good show. Yeah, DJ, I was going to I did a review of it the other day on her Panwo Voice, and I wasn't that fond of it. I thought I gave it a bit of a hammering actually, but I'd only watched the first 2 episodes. I then thought I'll go and read the book and then watch the rest of the program. But I ended up being tempted to watch the rest of the program, and I thought it's damn good. It's really good. Redcap Goblin says the thing with Germans blowing up the munitions factory on Ellis Island pre-World War I never happened in my memory. That was something I only discovered earlier, so I can't I can't be sure, but apparently it's one of the biggest conventional explosions in history. And I think 2 people were killed because it happened in the early hours of the morning, and no one. It was in a factory where no one was there. I think the security guards got killed, but it was not far from where 9/11 happened, and it was even bigger than anything that happened there. Philip K. Dix has beat DJ B2. Yes, interesting, very interesting chap. Anthony Peake has done a lot about him. He's written a book about him, and in fact, I've interviewed Anthony about that. Louis Campo, hello. COVID-19 is a cover-up for Comet C. Oh, right, it's Comet Lemon. I've not heard about that, Louis, but there are comets out there, of course. Stephen says, "Seen the clone's hands." I didn't. I was watching Charles and was supposedly Prince Charles. I didn't notice his hands. What's special about his hands? Emma Malone says, "I did a Black History project on L.E. Whitney inventing the cotton gin, but apparently now he's white. I used the encyclopedia back then. Very odd." Oh dear. Well, I expect a lot of SJWs have the Mandela effect about that because they don't want to think of white people doing those sorts of things. Hello, Ed Kaler. Do you drink a lot? Yeah. Oh, a little bit, Ed. Michael says, "Will they scrap the 2 meters?" I don't know. It's going to go to 1 meter, says Emma. Stephen Trueseeker, is Michael Prince back on the conspiracy scene? He's actually on probation for something, I think. So I don't think he's talking to anyone at the moment. I know he's been released, but he may well have some kind of conditions for his probation. I don't know. Steve071 says, "Ben, you have a Mandela effect on your Hapanwo logo with the red warning sign in the stripe going from the 1 to 7 o'clock position like it used to be." Is it? I remember it that way, but maybe it happened the other way. I don't know. Clifton James Kelly. Hello, Clifton. Yes, the end is near for the lazy demonic world. Yeah. Well, you see, I've often thought about whether there's some kind of there's some kind of there is some kind of transformation that's happened. Now, when 2012 happened, the 2012 end date of the long count calendar, of course, nothing visible took place because the change was on an energetic etheric level. So it was in the sort of spiritual foundations of the universe. But David Icke actually said, he did an interview back in 2008 about this, and he said that nothing particularly interesting would happen on December the 21st, 2012, but later it would set forces in motion that would eventually create visible change in the actual world that we could see and perceive. And he said probably by about 2016. He says, think about 4 years. So about 2016, we would see real change. He said this in 2008, and my God, he was right, wasn't he? Just watch my videos I've done on the 2016 effect. He was right. Oh. Spotted UFOs and Ghosts and Cryptids. Says Sinbad the actor. Everyone remembers him playing a genie, but he hasn't made a film where he's a genie. That was the Mandela effect. Sinbad the actor. Was that the... Oh, was this something to do with Sinbad the sailor? Because there was a character in Brookside, wasn't they, called Sinbad? Redknapp says it makes no sense to have something on Ellis Island. I don't know about the Ellis Island thing, but I only heard about it a couple of years ago. David Schultz said, "Oh, hang on. Astrology played a big part during World War II. The Nazis were involved in the occult." Yeah. Ralph Winter. Nelson Mandela died the same day as Colin Wilson, 5th of December 2003. Did he? I think Colin Wilson died later than that because I did an article about Colin Wilson when I wrote an obituary to Colin Wilson. Where is it? Hang on. Because I had one of his books. My mum actually was really into Colin Wilson when she was like here we are, 5th of December 2013. But my mum was really into Colin Wilson when she was young. So she changed an awful lot in her life, I'll tell you, because she was nothing like that when she got older. But Maybe that's another Mandela effect, Ralph. Hugo says if they reduce it to 1 meters, millions will die. It's going to be a ride, Kemper. Yeah, Manchester is blue. Says hospital porter stop the New World Order. We do indeed. Rabbit says you should really read the Book of Revelations, Ben. It's hilarious. It has dragons and many-eyed monsters, lamb Jesuses, and all sorts. It's like a right shit show of mental retardation put into print. Well, you know, Rabbit, I have read it. I've read the whole Bible, and it's very abstract actually. Some people claim it's symbolic for the Roman Empire and things like that. It has all kinds of weird imagery in it. It's hard to follow, but it talks about the God's victory over Satan, eternal victory over Satan. Could this be symbolic for a return to grace? You see, there's a lot of truth in these religious texts. I'll just go through. Fiona Broom sounds like a villain from Charmed. Clifton James Kelly says, nice hat. Reminds me of the Confederates. In the South would have won, we'd be closer to God. All right. Well, yeah, I know that they're not much more religious, aren't they, in the South? But this is actually a hat for Australia's Australian flag. But it's broken, unfortunately. The peak bit is broken, so I wear it backwards on here. Nihilist Lives Matter, hello, says, some people say Shakespeare was black. Well, I'm sure, I mean, if the SJWs get their way, future history lessons will have Shakespeare as a black guy, I'm sure. They will. Which, of course, is... it's odd, you know, I'll tell you something funny. I bumped into that writer I told you about on a previous live stream. Do you remember the one who I went to a writers group with a long time ago in like the 2000s? I was a member of a writers group. Actually, it was in the 90s. It was around about late 90s. And this guy, I met up with him after many, many years, and he said he was very successful. He's actually writing a play it's won an award, and it's going to be produced as soon as the lockdown's over. And he says, "Oh, it's all about Islamophobia." And I was like, I was annoyed with him because I didn't think he was a very good writer. Yet he had he put out a politically correct conceptual piece, and of course, because it's a politically correct conceptual story with lots of left-wing propaganda, of course it's going to be very successful, and things don't have to be good. In fact, this is the point I made, because he's actually been criticized. He's funny. He said to me that when I met up with him again, that he's getting annoyed with people going on about him being a white male. And I joked with him. I said, "Look, you're going to have to make your play a lot less good. You're going to have to get rid of all the best things, because if you want to be successful, you've got to fill it with left-wing propaganda, but then you've also got to make it. You've got to make it as a, in terms of quality writing, it's got to be very low, because if white men write good stories, then it's racist and misogynist, because they're doing better jobs than the women and black people and non-white." And I joked with him about that. He sort of gave me a strange look. I think he thought I was serious. Where are we now? Hospital porters are the New World Order, says Phuket. Oh, you know what? When you think about all the privileges and things that the Illuminati get, I mean, real privileges, not fake privilege like the white privilege. You know, I want in. You know, I want in, mate. I really do. Yeah. And Manchester's Blue says, no, hospital porters are fighting the New World Order. That's right. Yeah, that's it. Best Beds. What do you think about Bitcoin, Ben? I'm very keen on it. Best Beds. I don't actually own any Bitcoin, but I do have like a few. I do have other cryptocurrency. I should maybe trade it in for Bitcoin. But I think it could well be the way forward, I think. DJ B2 says Sinbad Genie film was called Kazam, if I remember right. All right. Diego Rivera. Hello, Diego Rivera. Don't worry, Ben. Fragments from Comet Atlas will hit the Earth soon. No, they won't. They won't. But we went through this in the last live stream. That's not going to happen. I've been following it. Comet Atlas has disintegrated, and none of its fragments going to hit the Earth. DJ Beatrice says, got some Colin Wilson books. Not a bad writer. Very interesting books. Some interesting books. Yes, very. Peaceful Warrior says, all right, sick bin. All right, sir. Been a while. Hope you're well. I'm not bad, thanks, Peaceful Warrior. Hope you are too. Ralph says 2013. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Splendid says Revelation is largely written in symbology, and the encouragement is to understand what it means. So if you can't see this, when who's the retarded one? Well, I mean, I don't. You're being a bit unfair then, Splendid, to people who just simply don't understand it. It doesn't mean they're retarded. It just means they haven't understood it yet. But you are right about the Book of Revelations and what it means. Yes. Not Charles says there's a confusion between the films Kazam and Shazam. Sinbad was in one, but not the other. All right. Steve, are you preparing for the return of COVID? They'll bring it back. Yeah, I'm going to have to cover that in future. Where are we now? Just go through these videos. Paul Armstrong. Hello, Paul. How are you? Patrick Patel says, Ben, you know nearly everyone single. You know nearly everyone single young person I ask what you think of COVID-19. They say it's a scam, but they feel they're pressured into believing it. Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? But you know, the thing, what's interesting is that what's interesting about the whole thing is that what is symbolized in, for example, the book of Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis, is of course not true. There never was just one man and one woman living in a garden with a talking snake. That didn't literally happen. However, it is symbolic of the human relationship with the divine. That is, the mortal connection to the divine, and it symbolizes a fall from grace, a break from that divine. And this may have happened in Atlantis at a certain point. I think I said in a previous video recently about the fall of Atlantis happened, I think, because the Illuminati were there. But the Illuminati only came, it's like a reverse cause and effect, because the Illuminati actually wouldn't have entered Atlantis unless we'd allowed them to. So in a sense, the fall from grace, our break from the divine, is what caused the Illuminati to come here. And it's rather like the parable of the sower, where Jesus talks about the seed falling on stony ground and then the seed falling on the fallow earth. We essentially were fallow earth for the Illuminati. So that, I think, is was what happened in Atlantis, which is why Atlantis fell. It's of course, I'm sure the climate change issue had a lot to do with it because of the end of the ice age. But one thing that's very common in these religious texts is when man fell from grace and entered our current state, we can return to grace. And it's possible that is what we're seeing with the 2016 effect. It's possible that is what that means when it comes to the long count calendar changing. Because when the long count calendar began, there's no doubt there was an awful lot of change going on in the world. In 3114 BC, no one knows the exact date, but that's round about the time that Sumerian civilization was founded, and indeed the ancient Egyptians as well. The first pharaohs of ancient Egypt took to the throne, which is often thought of as the beginning of history. But we can, so it's possible we're now going through this return to grace period, which David Icke describes as the Great Awakening. Call it what you will, but I mean, this is what it could be. It could be the change of the Mayan calendar. It may be when we hit the 100th monkey moment. Who knows? The 100th monkey point, as I described. It could have been that was the 100th monkey moment, but of course, we didn't see it at the time. Splendid says, Ben, trans calls people who take Revelation seriously retarded, so was responding. Oh, okay, Splendid. Thanks for letting me know. Steve Palmer says, first Artemis flight to the moon for NASA Artemis program will launch in November 2021. Is this supposedly the manned mission? They're going to send astronauts back there. Nihilist Lives Matter says, Mandela effect, conveniently forgetting what he got up to with car tires, petrol, and matches. You're talking about necklacing, yeah. Well, of course, Nelson Mandela himself as a person, I made this point in the previous video or previous couple of videos, is that history, when we have history, we tend to look at history and the figures within. The figures within history, we tend to see either as angels or demons. They're either complete evil monsters or they are divine, wonderful people without any flaws. Nelson Mandela is one of these people. Has the halo. You know, he's such a wonderful guy. He's lovely. He's great. He never did a thing wrong in his life. That's not true. Nor is he a complete monster either. But then, like most people, he is multifaceted and flawed. And indeed, he in many ways he did some terrible things, and South Africa is paying the price for it to this day. So it's not. I mean, the necklacing thing, and that was more his wife Winnie Mandela, who's now also buggered off. Thank goodness she's gone. Yeah, Winnie Mandela basically her and her thugs. They were called a football team, but they didn't play any football. They just went round communities. You know, if anyone was saying they weren't going to vote ANC, she would just put a car tire around their neck, fill it with petrol, and set it on fire. Which is not just killing them; it's killing them in the most sadistic way imaginable that she could think of. She did this to a 14-year-old boy at one point. So yeah, the idea that she's some kind of civil rights heroine is nonsense. She's a gangster's mole, and the world's better off without her. So where are we now? Hope we can return to grace. Stephen says Prince Charles's hands look brand new, as if he was cologne and had some kind of speeded up growth. I didn't notice. His face certainly looked less wrinkly, didn't it? That was odd. I mean, who knows where the Queen is at the moment? Steve071. Black Tom was a German attack in the USA in World War II, even though 9/11 was supposed to be the first ever foreign attack on US soil. All right, I didn't know that, Steve. No, because I always hear the same thing. You know, apart from a few shoji balloons from Japan, which only killed one person, I think. And from Pearl Harbor onwards, there was never an invasive attack on US until 9/11. DJ B2, buy more toilet paper as the second wave is coming. Oh, this second wave. Save me for the second wave. Diego Rivera says, Ben, you owe me an apology. I told you Schultz star passed within less than 1 light year of the Earth 60,000 years ago, and it's now 20 light years away. It was a red and brown dwarf binary. Is that right? Schultz star. I'll look it up. Schultz. Well, here is a Schultz star here. Yeah, Schultz's star. Designation. Yeah, binary stellar system, 22 light years from the sun. Discovered in 2013. Solar system flyby passed around 52,000 astronomical units, 0.82 light years, about 70,000 years ago. 98% of mathematical simulations. Yeah, that's within the Oort cloud, apparently, which is this cluster of comets and things around the Earth. So that was the nearest star to the sun back then. Oh, it must have been quite something to look up in the sky and see that. But anyway, all right. The DJ B2, I apologise. Sorry. Diego Rivera, I apologise. Michael Snow, hasn't Atlantis been found? Yes, it has, Michael. Graham Hancock has found the remains of Atlantis, and several other people too. 69 Phuket, them lizards regenerate. See, maybe he was about to shapeshift. I don't know. Ralph Winter, Sex in the City, Sex and the City, Mandela. Yeah, was it? What was it? It was Sex in the City, I think. I don't know. Rabbit says, story of Adam and Eve is symbolic of nothing more than man's tendency to make shit up when he doesn't know something. No, I don't think so. I think it meant more than that, I think. Diego Rivera, stars, brown dwarfs, and planets pass close to our solar system all the time. There were like rogue planets and things, yeah. I mean, that was what Oumuamua was. Clifton says, if you get a 2x2 map with the mountain terrain showing it, it is demonic all over the western United States. Scythantiops, hello. The 100th Monkey Effect is based on nothing. Google it. It was misrepresented in Lyle Watson's book in the 80s. Actually, it was the 70s. It was Supernature. It was super. Where are you now? Sorry, I'll go back a bit. It was actually in the 70s, a book called Supernature. I think he published in the early 70s, and I have Googled it, and it was not a misreporting. That skeptics just doing the skeptics are trying to debunk it, but that's actually not true. DJ B2 says, my late father called Nelson Mandela a terrorist. Well, he was. I mean, if you're going to plant bombs in places to blow them up, and he started blowing up power lines and power stations, but they were planning on targeting railway stations and things like that. That's a terrorist act. Yeah. Tina says, which Mandela are we talking about, Nelson or Winnie? Tina, Winnie Mandela was not jailed, but she should have been, because she was doing horrible things. Like I said, with her and her thugs were just like bully people, and in some cases torture them and kill them. DJ, just South Africa is screwed. DJ, South Africa's in a terrible state. There is hope for South Africa, but it is in a really bad way. And I mean, I did an entire live stream on South Africa, but when this was when the government decided to sell off the farmland. This is after a campaign of genocide against those people, against white farmers in South Africa. They then decided to actually seize the farmland. From the state was going to seize the farmland, and of course the corrupt government under Cyril Ramaphosa, they're just going to sell it off to China. Scythantiops says, before whites built South Africa, there was nothing there. Ending apartheid was a disaster. Well, there was a native population there, but they were largely nomadic. And it's true that much of what is covered by South Africa now, it was actually uninhabited at the time. That's another myth. There's a myth there that they moved, that all the tribes had to be kicked out by the fur trackers and things like that. That's not true. I'm not. I mean, it's funny because I'm not an imperialist. I don't believe that. It was an Illuminati plan to move into Africa. Cecil Rhodes and people like that were serving the Illuminati in moving into South Africa, into Africa. But it doesn't justify this demonization of white people that we've seen lately. So, Antiochus, the Queen was out the other day. You saw some photographs in Tadler of the Queen, which could have been taken at any time. In fact, the fact that she's wearing such warm clothes indicates that they weren't taken when they were supposed to be. DJ B2 says, my late father had to put down insurrections in the West Indies in the 1960s. Well, DJ, you know that I've talked about Grenada in the last video, didn't I? About what happened there. Michael Snow, is the Lizard Illuminati woman dead? She might be. Maybe she may have, and they're keeping it quiet. Like they did with Fidel Castro. He died about 3 years. Michael Snow, she wasn't a Royal Ascot, but she had a winner. Sorry, that's Tina talking. Pardon me. I didn't know Tina. I remember because of course I've been to. I know Tina in the real world. We actually collaborated on a video, and we talked about Ascot because we actually captured we saw a helicopter, didn't we? Do you remember? Legend real. Stompy McKetsy murdered by Winnie Mandela for being an alleged police informant. Yeah, he was only 14, this kid, and he was murdered in the most sadistic way possible. Well, she beat him actually for about 3 days. She whipped him and then necklaced him, and so yes, she should have been jailed. DJ had to go ashore with a submachine gun and a cutlass. Oh my god, he obviously likes tradition there, doesn't he? Steve Palmer, I posted about Artemis because you keep saying NASA doesn't know how to build a heat shield and it's going to take 50 years to get back to the moon. Reality, is the hardware is already built. Well, Steve, if that happens, maybe we can discuss it, because I know you're quite keen to comment on this subject. You often do, and I'll be addressing your comments in the upcoming comments reply video. But Artemis hasn't launched yet, has it? Let's just see if it does. Steve-071. Ben, name some planets you know with rings around it. Oh, Steve, there's Saturn, isn't there? But I think there are rings around some of the other planets as well. I think, was it Neptune or something, has small rings? Rabbit says, David Icke failed and bitter Joseph Smith discussed. Oh, you mean like a cult leader? No, that's not fair, Rabbit. I've done entire things on David Icke. DJ Beachy, they needed weapons due to the lawlessness in Somalia. Yeah, Somalia is in a terrible state, isn't it? I've never been there, but it's supposed to be a terrible country. Splendid says the thing largely fueling the BLM thing is inherent inferiority complex to white people and all they've achieved. This breeds resentment and anger, so it's easier to be envious and blame whites. Well, that's actually, I don't think that's the case, Splendid. It's the resentment and anger is actually induced in a population by the media, by education, and other things. And maybe the inferiority thing is a part of that, this inferiority complex. But in fact, if you look at Michael Tellinger, you'll see that that the Africans did go through periods of high culture in the past, so they have no reason to feel inferior to white people. I mean, I don't regard. I mean, I'd be called a racist because I don't regard white people as superior. But I would still be called a racist because I don't regard white people as inferior. You don't have to look down your nose at other races to be called a racist if you're white. You just have to be the sort of person who doesn't look down your nose and at your own race. This is one of the nonsense things that has come out of this this awful situation we're in now. Oh. And Splendid says here, taking the knee to these minorities actually confirms the idea that whites are superior and need to belittle or humiliate themselves in order to atone. White guilt confirms the feeling of white supremacy. No, I don't believe that white people are superior. We're different, but we're conditioned to believe that we are evil. I mean, this is the thing. We're conditioned to believe that we are inferior. We have to bow down because we're all evil, racists, and slave owners, and all these other things that we've done. Regardless of whether you actually have done them or not, you're to blame for them. That's where white guilt comes into. And Splendid, I covered this on my videos about Rhodes Statue and Christy Winters. Ralph Winter says the Smiths, the Queen is dead. Have they got a song called The Queen is Dead? I don't remember that. I used to be a big fan of the Smiths and sort of Morrissey, but is that right? Patrick Patel, Ben, I still can't understand why these horrible people in the upper echelons of the Illuminati don't touch David Icke. Do you think David has a hidden force like good aliens protecting him? Possibly, Patrick, or maybe he has the equivalent of QAnon. But I think also the fact is that if they did touch him in any way, it would probably confirm, wouldn't it? It would confirm a lot of his messages. 69 Phuket says, my girlfriend is in a coma. I know. Oh, that's the album, is it? I know that album. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Mr. MT says, will the footballers who dropped the knee boycott the World Cup in Qatar, where the stadiums are built on modern slavery? Oh no, Mr. MT. This is the thing. I covered this in the videos. It's only white people who are being treated like this. Slavery is a sad fact of history, and you'll find it everywhere. If you went back 300 or 400 years, you'd find it everywhere. There's the transatlantic slave trade, but also the internal African slave trade, of which Robert Mugabe's family made their fortune. There's another one I'm glad to see the back of. But indeed, the Middle Eastern slave trade, where they would the pirates from the Middle East would actually sometimes they'd take entire villages from the coast of England and France and other places and drag them and put them in chains and drag them off to the Middle East. Yet at no point does anyone go to these countries in the Middle East and say, look at your history, look at your statues, you need to get rid of them. Do you guys mind if I finish soon? Because I'm getting tired. Steve071 says, I only remember Saturn, but now a few planets have rings. Steve, I don't think that's the Mandela effect. I think that's probably just they've discovered them. Ralph says, have you heard of Simon Lewis's interesting UFO moon researcher? Talking to Paul Sinclair. I haven't, no, I know Paul, but I've not heard of that. Oh. David Schultz, London Mayor. Mandatory masks will be the new normal for at least another year. Oh, he could bloody... Is that sad Git Khan? He can sod off, man. He can sod off. In the open air, they got no reason to say anything to you. Indeed, what I'm going to do is, like, for people who I don't use short distance public transport, but if I go on a coach or something, I'll put a mask on and I'll put on it something like Infowars.com or Panwo or Rich Planet or something like that to be subversive. Woody Black says, yes, the Smiths have an album and a song called "The Queen Is Dead." Oh, right, I'll have to listen to that. I'll play it on the Panwo show. Oh, do you mind if I give it? Call it. I'm getting tired, man. I mean, I know we've only been going for an hour and a quarter, which is short for my live streams, but I'm getting really tired. Splendid says, I agree, Ben. What I mean is that those taking a knee that have bought into the idea that whites are seen as a superior, that's the guilt and the need to prostrate themselves. That's right, Splendid, and it's a very pathological way of thinking, and it's meant to be for the reasons I've explained in those two videos, the Rhodes statue and Christy Winters. Emma Lone has asked about the new King of England, the King of Britain. Yeah. I haven't looked into that for a while, DJ says Hillary Clinton, Triple K created the new slave trade in Libya. Yes. No one's asking her to apologize, and with her, it's not the bloody past, it's the present. Groove Dodger says my girlfriend's got corona. Oh well, I hope she'll be all right. I do hope she'll be all right. Groove Dodger. Tina Silver says Boudica was taken as a slave to Rome. Was she? I know that Vercingetorix was. In fact, he was murdered. He was actually publicly executed. He was publicly garroted in Rome. But I didn't know that about Boudica. The Greg Hallett you're talking about, Rabbit. I don't know much about that. I've not looked into it. Can I? I think I'm going to call it a night. I think. Do you mind if I do, because I'm getting tired? But night, Jock. You're off to bed too. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'm sorry it's so short, but night, Tina. I'm going to. Paul says, what's he say here? Paul Armstrong says, they keep flicking around. I'm tired. I can't see things. Mindset and third rail tomorrow. Oh, there'll be a mindset tomorrow. Third rail hopefully on Wednesday, depending on when Trevor can make it. Night, Hugo. Patrick Patel, I love every time there's a sip from your coffee mug. Oh, want to make me drink coffee too? Well, have a nice one, Patrick. And David Schultz, good night. I will do a review of the Mandela Effect movie, but I will probably the next one will probably be a comments reply video, because I need to do that. It's a month's gone past. I'm trying to do them once a month now rather than every 2 months. Night, DJ. Night, Fabio Moon. Night, Onslow. I'll have some rest. Thanks, guys. I'm just feeling pretty tired for some reason. Cheers, Groove Dodger. Diego Rivera, thank you. And yes, Stephen, a short end of the world. Yes, this live stream is ending earlier, even though if the world is not. So, cheers, Woody Black. Good night, Tina. See you all in the next epoch. Tina, I think we're already in the next epoch. I think we have been for a few years now, which is great. But I will see you. I'll PM you, Tina, about what you were talking about earlier. And I'm going to just say the world probably will not end tomorrow. It's no more likely to end tomorrow than any other day. So Don't max out your credit cards. Don't spit in your boss's face. And also, don't sit up all night worrying, biting your nails. All right. 69 Phuket says pussy. Carry on. No, sorry, Phuket. I'm going to call it a night. But there'll be more live streams coming, and indeed more videos. Keep an eye out on the channel, because probably in the next few days there will be a comments reply video for you all. Okay, so I'll be replying to the comments you make under the videos. Night, Steve. Jenny, hello. How are you? Sorry, Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy. Good night.